Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. Just want to read you this article and also talk about it. So it's the people on state pension could see bank accounts monitored by DWP under new plans. Ministers have faced questions about whether new data powers could be used to look at the bank accounts of older people in receipt of the state pension. Conservative former Minister David Davis claims that measures aimed at tackling fraud in the benefit system within the Data Protection and Digital Information Bill would allow the state to put people under surveillance without prior supervision. Well, first of all, guys, the state pension has got nothing to do with benefit, really, has it? It's not a benefit. Your state pension will come after you've worked, and that's what you're going to be getting. So that's already a mix-up that they're putting out there on purpose. All right. The bill seeks to create a new data rights regime for the UK after its exit from the European Union, but MPs across the Commons raised the alarm about newly introduced proposals which would allow the Department for Work and Pensions, DWP, to view benefit claimants' bank accounts for social security purposes. So really, your pension isn't really a benefit because you're going to get your pension. So social security purposes. Okay, this is just ridiculous to me. So Stephen Timms, the Labour chair and Work and Pension Select Committee, suggested its remit would go further, allowing ministers to view the banking details of any state pension recipients whose payments are administered by the DWP. Culture Minister Sir John Whittingdale told the Commons that it was not the case that the DWP intends to focus on state pension. He added, "It is specifically about means-related benefit claimants to ensure they are eligible for the benefits they are currently claiming. In doing that, it will save the taxpayer a considerable amount of money from the identification and avoidance of fraud." So really what's happening here is they want to check everybody's bank account, and they're saying it's going to be done to the people who get pension, who were the taxpayers, and now they're claiming their pension. But they're trying to say it's to do with benefit fraud and benefit claimants. But MPs were not convinced with Mr David's pleading with the minister to ensure the measure was more targeted. The Halton, Price and Howden MP said, "I think everybody in the House understands the importance of getting it right. We all want to stop the fraud that takes place in the current state system. That being said, this is the only time that I'm aware of where the state seeks a right to put people under surveillance without prior suspicion. Therefore, this has to be restricted very carefully." Not it has to be restricted, it has to be denied, and this can't go through. I will continue reading this piece, but to the MPs and the people who are deciding that they think they have the right to just look into anybody's bank account just because they feel like it. When do we get to see the MPs' bank accounts? When do we get to see these people's bank accounts? They work for us at the end of the day, and we don't have any transparency when it comes to them, but they're trying to pass a bill that says they can look into your bank account if you are receiving benefits, right? So let me continue. The minister replied, "I share his principled concern that the powers of the state should be limited to those who are absolutely necessary." So first of all, who are we deeming absolutely necessary that the government has to look into your bank account? And who is deeming it necessary? Once again, it's the government. We do believe that those who are in receipt of benefits funded by the taxpayer do have an obligation to meet the terms of those, and this is one of the way of ensuring that they do so. So talking about the taxpayer who's now getting the state pension, now they're saying the taxpayer state pension people are the ones that are going to want this being done because they're the ones that paid their taxes. Yeah, that's what they're trying to say there. Speaking for the NSP, Patrick Grady said the bill would grant the DWP powers to proactively, regularly and at scale and on a speculative basis carry out checks on the bank accounts and finances of claimants. Labour former Minister Sir Stephen meanwhile said, this measure will give the government the right to inspect the bank account of anyone who claims a state pension. So all of us, actually, every single one of us, this measure will give the government the right to look into our bank account at some point during our lives without suspecting that we have ever done anything wrong, without telling us that they are doing it. He added, what on earth would the government need to do that for? The entitlement to a state pension is not based on income or savings or anything like that. So why would the government ever wish to do that? So Stephen suggested that ministers had attempted to rush through the new measures without an opportunity for proper scrutiny in order to avoid a revolt from the Tory MPs who may be unhappy with the proposals. It is very difficult to understand why it is being done in this way otherwise, he added. Labour frontbencher Sir Chris Bryant had attempted to see the bill returned to a committee for further scrutiny due to the concerns about a large number of additions the government had made to it, but the Commons rejected this 275 to 209 majority 66. Elsewhere in the debate, Shadow Culture Minister Sir Chris said he was worried the UK government was trying to introduce changes that would allow them to mine people's information for votes. The bill introduces several changes to electoral practices under the guise of what they call democratic engagement, he said, adding it would allow the Secretary of State to make any future exemptions and changes to direct marketing rules for the very unspecified purposes of democratic engagement. Senior Tory Mr Davis meanwhile said he wanted to see protected right for people to use non-digital verification services. The bill will introduce a verification system to make sure digital ID documents can be used with the same confidence as paper copies. But Mr Davis said it was important people could still choose to use physical copies. He told the Commons what matters is that people have a choice and are not coerced into providing their data through digital means for whatever reason, whether it's concern about their privacy or other reasons. The bill later received a third reading by 269 votes to 31, majority 238, and will undergo further scrutiny in the House of Lords at a later date. Yeah, so it should. So they're talking about being able to just go into our bank accounts and see what savings we have, see what we're spending our money on, see what we're doing. They can just pop in and out, and they're getting this information from our banks if this thing is all changed. So we, as people who own bank accounts, and we don't want the government in and out of our bank accounts, whether we're on benefits, state pensions, or whether we work. It's none of their fucking business what we're doing, how we're doing it, and when we're doing it. And also to be able to sneak into your bank account to somehow see how you vote. And then they're going to try to start to steer you that way. That's the shit they're talking about here as well. So as I said, to any MPs listening to this and any stupid minds out there that think this is a good idea just to stop fraud, no, it's not. It's to have more control over us and just to let us know that you can do whatever you want and try to get as much control as you can over people. And it's just ridiculous. So like I said before, if this goes to, I will also be writing to my MP. If this does go through, let's see what happens with this. But we will all need to write to our MPs, the ones that did agree to this and want this bill to go through, that we now want to see their bank account. And we're also going to want to see a monthly account of what they're doing with the money that they get for working for us. And then we can have some more transparency there. So if it goes through, and I will write to my MP anyway before it does, but those are the questions that I will be asking them. The ones that let it. So look for your MP, see how they voted, see what they did. Yeah. And if they're one of them, then they will be asked, what does your bank account look like then? And we, as the people who they work for us, should be able to look at that at any time. Peace out.